have to talk about Lamine Yamal and Spain because once again, they are making the headlines, especially with the latest news that Lamine Yamal has been withdrawn from Spain's qualifiers after undergoing a procedure to help an ongoing groin injury. Now, Spain coach Luis de la Fuente had this to say: "I've never experienced a situation like this before. I don't think it's very normal. Of course, it surprised me, as it did everyone else. You don't hear anything, you don't know any details, and I insist when it comes to health and fitness issues, you're left surprised." All right, well, let's also welcome in Stuart Robson and Sid Lowe. Sid, you know I'm going to have to start with you because yet another international break and yet another time that Lamine Yamal and Spain and De La Fuente are making headlines. How much of a big deal is this latest news in Spain?
This is a massive big deal. This afternoon, the president of the Spanish Football Federation, Rafa Lusan, said, "I'm not going to talk about this, I'm not going to cause more controversy." And you kind of thought to yourself, well, it's a bit late for that. It's already happened. And it's happened because the Federation put out a very, very blunt statement, a very direct statement, in which they said that they felt that the medical services at Barcelona had not informed them, had acted badly, and as a result they were in no position but to tell Lamine Yamal to not continue with the Spanish national team during this international get-together. Now, you can then unpack the things that have happened in terms of the radio frequency treatment that he's been given, in terms of the fact that he played 90 minutes for Barcelona on Sunday night but then doesn't go to the national team, in terms of those question marks over who's communicating with who and why and what responsibility does club and country have. But the most significant thing I think about this is that in the middle of it all is Lamine Yamal, and you've got a federation and Barcelona who are very much and very publicly at war with each other now.
Robbo, I know that you also had to deal with a lot of injuries back in your career, oftentimes having to prioritize club or country. You really feel for Lamine Yamal in this situation. But what are your thoughts on how this situation is being handled?
Well, it's obviously not being handled very well, and the most important person is Yamal because he's still only 17. And we talk about protecting players. We talk about, we mustn't play him too often. Well, that goes to Barcelona, but it also goes with the national team. And if he's got a slight injury and he's got a slight groin injury, then he shouldn't be going. That's as simple as that. And I don't care what the Spanish Federation say about it or not. The player is the most important thing. He's got to make sure he's fit. Remember, he's still 17. We can't 1 minute say we've got to protect him, you've got to make sure he doesn't play too many games, and then moan when he doesn't go with the Spanish team when he's got a slight knock. The question is, has he got a slight knock? But I've got no problems with Yamal not going at all.
Yeah, Stevie, when you look at Lamine Yamal, well, when you look at Spain playing or when you look at Barcelona playing, you're looking for Lamine Yamal's name first on that team sheet because he's just that man. He's that player. He's that young man at only 18 years old. But as a coach, how much do you actually have dialogue with the national team coach, especially in situations like these?
Well, I think, considering what's going on recently, I wouldn't imagine there's too much dialogue going on.
We can tell.
I mean, Hansi Flick was not pleased that Yamal was made to play with an injury, 2 windows ago. So I would suggest that between De La Fuentes and Hansi Flick, there's not a lot of communication. And quite frankly, if I'm De La Fuentes, I don't want any communication. I don't know why he's talking about this. He should be passing this on to the Federation. This is between the Federation and Barcelona.
You think it's far gone now, that he can't just call up Hansi Flick and have a chat?
Well, I think that would be the sensible thing to do, but at the same time, I think he should probably just stay out of it. Let the Federation and Barcelona figure this out, instead of him coming in and throwing in his tuppence worth. At the end of the day, his job is about when the players come, what does he do with them? In terms of coaching them, in terms of playing, who should play, who shouldn't play. Why he wants to get involved in some sort of war of words with Barcelona and Hansi Flick makes no sense to me. If you don't have to be in it, keep out it.
Yes, as we said, putting what the two coaches are saying aside, as Robbo pointed out, the most important person in this is Lamine Yamal. And here we are another month talking about this ongoing groin injury. How much of a concern has it become?
Well, I actually think that's a difficult question to answer because I think obviously the main concern is his physical fitness, is the management of that injury. But I think in a way it goes beyond that now, because it's not just about him, it's about the difficulties that have been caused in what should be a relatively fluid relationship between federation and club and between the two sets of medical staff. Now, of course, the background to this is, as Stevie was pointing out, in the last get-together, the Spanish national team gave him a painkilling injection for one of the games, and Barcelona weren't happy about that, and they were talking about how the Spanish national team weren't protecting him. That's then created a lack of trust between the two sides. You get a situation in which, when the squad was announced last Friday, Luis de la Fuente said he's in perfect condition. We can see that because he's playing for Barcelona. And he let it be known, essentially, if he plays for Barcelona the last game before the window starts, as far as I'm concerned, he's fit. Now, that's not the way to deal with Lamine Yamal. And so there is a fundamental basic issue, which is what kind of condition is he in? And then the subsequent issue, which I think is even bigger at this point, which is, and do we trust the two sides to tell each other the truth about his fitness and to manage him in the best interests of him? Which, of course, in the long term, which both of them seem to have overlooked a little bit, is in the best interest of both of them as well. And it's extraordinary, really, that you've got club and country who have got a player this good, this young, who's likely to be their best player for a decade or more, and they're handling it like this. And as usual, it's pointing the finger at each other, and no one takes responsibility. They want everyone else to take responsibility for it.
Let's be honest here. When you've got a player, never mind a guy as talented as Yamal, a 17-year-old... 18-year-old, beg your pardon. Robbo, come on, get your facts right, Robbo.
He only turned 18 this summer, so we'll pardon it.
When you are given an 18-year-old a painkilling injection to play in the international stage, what do you think Barcelona are going to think? What do you think Hansi Flick... So the whole Spanish Federation and De La Fuentes 100% are in the wrong here. And if they think that Barcelona owe them anything after doing something like that, then, in my opinion, they don't. And I can assure you, I had problems with my groin my whole career, and I missed a lot of international games because of it. I was just lucky that at that particular time, it was down to me and the club. For some reason over the years, the international federations have gotten so much power now. It seems incredible.
Yeah, Robbo, back in your career as well, when you had to deal with all the injuries and the kind of tug of war between club and country, how did you deal with it?
Well, a lot of the injuries started on international duty, where I'd been playing. I got in the first team at 17, and particularly at the youth level to start with, we had to go once a month for 2 days to Lilleshall to train very hard for 2 days. And they wanted me to go. The FA said I had to go, even though I was playing in the first team for Arsenal, and then having to go back on a Wednesday and play in the evening for Arsenal in the first team. It then progressed later on when I was picked for 2 or 3 England squads and under 23 squads before that. And I said to the club, I've got slight injury. I don't really want to go. I want to make sure I'm fit to play for Arsenal the next week. And that's what I did. But the England FA didn't like it and it caused me a problem. It then caused me a further problem when I did go with England when I was injured. I came back to Arsenal and George Graham had just taken over. And I said to him, I'm not sure I can play on Saturday. And he said, looks as though you've put country before club. And I said, well, before you came, I put club before country on 6 occasions. And one occasion that I might have done the opposite, you're now reprimanding me and saying that I've got to have something done. So it was a difficult time juggling between club and country.